Let's go over to the Big Ten and Tom, a team that goes into year two under a new coach. Let's talk about Washington.
I'm really excited about the Huskies. I was just doing a show that's going to come out on Believe in Big Ten with myself and Rhett Lewis later this week about teams that could make a jump in 2025 within the Big Ten. Washington has got to be one of the first teams that you talk about. So first year under Jed Fish, I mean, inheriting an extremely difficult situation that Kalen DeBoer leaves, most of his staff leaves, how basically you were looking at the Alabama Crimson Huskies this past season. So 2024 finished 6-6, 4-5 in the Big Ten, lost to Louisville in the Sun Bowl by 1 point. They lost to Wazoo at home in their third game of the season, which is never good if you're a UW fan. The Big Ten wins were against Northwestern, number 10 Michigan, which surprised a lot of people, beat USC at home, beat UCLA at home. All their losses, however, were on the road. Within the Big Ten, losses at Rutgers, at Iowa, number 13 Indiana, number 6 Penn State, and number 1 Oregon. So a tough schedule, but still to come out of that 6-6 in the regular season, 6-7 overall with the bowl loss is pretty encouraging. Coming back this season, number 1 rusher, Jonah Coleman, who is a powerhouse. I really like what his game is. He is a thumper. Wide receiver Denzel Boston, first in touchdown catches last year for the Huskies. Cornerback Ephesians Prysock, safety Mikel Easton, center Landon Hatchett, his brother, actually just transferred from Oklahoma. I'll get to that in a minute. Guard Packy Finau and offensive tackle Drew Azzopardi. So you get the bulk of your offensive line back. In the portal, they got former Penn State Indy line wide receiver Amari Evans. They do need some help at wide receiver considering who's off to the National Football League. Offensive tackle Carver Willis from Kansas State, linebacker Tariq Al-Quda from Washington State. So there's a little bit of a betrayal there. Linebacker Zari Alexander from UCF. Defensive lineman Samade Peppa from Utah, expected to be a starter. Safety Alex McLaughlin, elevating from Northern Arizona to Washington. There's a lot of expectations for him. The aforementioned Garion Hatchett from Oklahoma. That's going to be interesting. And then some guys from Arizona that Jed Fish knows intimately. Cornerback Takario Davis, linebacker Jacob Manu, and defensive lineman Tiati Uiagalelei. So continuing to draw from that pipeline. And I'll get to more on that in a moment when it comes to recruiting. But the departures are interesting. 29 departures overall in the transfer portal. The notable ones, defensive back Jordan Shaw, who saw a lot of time last year off to Texas A&M. Another cornerback, Thaddeus Dixon, led the team in pass breakups. He is now a North Carolina Tar Heel. The very complicated situation with wide receiver Jonte Cook II, who was at Texas, transferred to Washington, and then dealt with some off-the-field issues, was arrested. So is still somebody who is out in the transfer portal, I imagine, and dealing with personal issues, so is not a part of the team. To the NFL, it's rough for Washington this year. Linebacker Carson Bruner, far and away the best player on this defense. A linebacker leading your team in interceptions is pretty surprising, and he is going to have a fantastic career in the National Football League. Veteran quarterback Will Rogers, 2 top wide receivers in Giles Jackson, Jeremiah Hunter, tight end Kaleki Latu is their number 1 pass-catching tight end. Safety Cameron Fabiculanen is fantastic and is going to go probably on the second day in the NFL draft, in my opinion. Linebacker Alfonso Tuputala, defensive tackle Sebastian Valdez, and defensive lineman Voy Tunufi. So there's some real good talent that's off to the National Football League. The thing that I thought was really interesting with Jed Fish, class of 2024, he basically inherited 4 commits remained in that class, 48th nationally, 14th in the Big Ten. It's pretty incredible. All of this is according to On3. This year, they got 28 commitments, 25th class nationally, 7th in the Big Ten, according to On3. Some of the standouts, linebackers, Adrius Rainey Sale, a 4-star, cornerback Dylan Robinson, also a 4-star, same with safety Brylan Dillard Allen, and interior offensive lineman Champ Tulealea. So 23 out of 28 recruits are from the Western Seaboard or Hawaii, including all 4 of the aforementioned 4-stars. So Jed Fish is going to work. This upcoming season, you're at Washington State for the Apple Cup on September 20th. You want revenge there, but you've got to begin to prove that you can win games on the road, considering their struggles last year. You host Ohio State. You're at Michigan this year. You host Illinois and you host Oregon. So that is going to be a big leg up for Washington. That is a difficult place to play. Here's the thing. Last year, 6-6 in the regular season, 6-7 overall. I could see this team finishing 8-4, probably at best. And that's not a bad thing. I know that looks like an incremental jump in terms of the numbers. I think it's just going to be about how it looks for Washington. I think it's going to be a lot more of a dangerous team. But again, you have Ohio State, Illinois, Oregon, and Michigan on the road on your schedule. That's tough. Jed Fish at Arizona, year 1, 1-11. Year 2, 5-7. Year 3, 10-3 with a bowl win. So there is precedent when it comes to Fish. I mentioned the exodus with Kalen DeBoer, so that's going to be something they're still kind of rebuilding this program from what was a team that appeared in the national championship just 2 years ago. Breakout player, I'm looking at defensive end Isaiah Ward. 3 sacks last year, was tied for second on the team. They have to do better in that department. The Huskies only had 20 sacks last year. So Ward has to be a reason why that number goes up in 2025. As I mentioned, the players that are off to the National Football League, he's replacing a lot. And there is precedent in terms of defensive ends, edge rushers from Washington to carry on that legacy. Braylon Trice, Edifuan Uliafashio, and Joe Tryon-Shoyinka as well. So there's been a lot of good Huskies at that position. The X factor, and this is what everybody should be talking about this coming season. Quarterback Damon Williams II appeared in every game last year. He started the final 2. He accounted for 10 touchdowns and over 1,000 yards from scrimmage as the backup quarterback. Very dynamic player. He's smaller. I believe he's listed about 5'11", 195 pounds. Those numbers might be generous, so there is that issue, but he can kill you with his legs. 78% completion percentage in 2024 with limited opportunities and a condensed playbook. What will that look like under Jed Fish in year 2 as the full-time starter with a new slate of weapons? And a lot of credit to Washington. They have stayed the course despite the mass exodus from the DeBoer era.
I want to go back to Damon Williams because if I saw a list earlier today that had him ranked as the number 7 returning starting quarterback in college football for 2025, I don't want to get in an argument with that because he only started 2 games. Like he is my number 2 breakout player in the sport this upcoming year. I am so excited to see what he can bring. But the thing that I continue to go back to is it's year 2 underneath Jed Fish. There was another quarterback in year 2 underneath Jed Fish that threw for over 2,800 yards, that had a completion percentage of 72.2%, 25 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, came in at 5'10" and 188 pounds, and led his team to a 10-win season. And that was Noah Fifita. Is there something about Damon Williams being fully indoctrinated where he got to at least play reps last year, even limited reps, with this offense underneath Fish, and then you throw in an Amari Evans, who may just need to change the scenery to hit his full potential. You bring back a Jonah Coleman. You have 3 starters returning on the offensive line. You feel good about your tight end room to where nobody should be shocked if somehow Damon Williams is one of the most talented quarterbacks in the Big Ten, and more importantly, a reason why the Huskies going into that month of November with where their schedule is, where they have matchups potentially against a Michigan on the road, Purdue, UCLA, and Oregon to close things out, where, yeah, it's possible that we're not going to go to Indianapolis, but if there is a 4th spot in the college football playoff for a Big Ten team, we're fighting for it.
I think they're going to fight for it. Damon Williams, from everything I've heard and read about him, is that they had to fight to keep Will Rogers on the field most of last season. I think that was a situation where Will Rogers was I think we can all understand, a serviceable, veteran, competent starting quarterback
for a year, yes,
at the college football level. So a nice little rental there, and you didn't feel great about starting Damon Williams initially. And as I mentioned, he was on a condensed package. So the things that he did last year, you have to see if it's going to work full time. But they had to keep him off the field when it came to Will Rogers. So I think this year, one, to the points that you just mentioned about Fifita, he fits what Jed Fish wants to do to a T. He is set up for success with what they have offensively. Defensively, they're going to have to figure out ways to stop some people. The pieces that went off to the National Football League are important. They've got to be able to find a way to win on the road. But Damon Williams has all the burst and excitement that I think can work at this level. And shoot, if the conversation Brock Purdy just put out there about like, yeah, I can't see, 40% of what I'm doing out there on the field. It's like, okay, it's not the first smaller quarterback to get the job done, especially at the college football level. But I think there's just a good opportunity this year. The schedule plays out pretty well to the point you were saying. The road schedule's not as bad. You're still playing some superior competition. So again, I urge people to not get hung up on the number of wins, the over-under for this team this coming season. Look at it. Tell me how it looks. Tell me how it feels. Baseline, UW is going to be a fun team to watch with Damon Williams.
Thanks for checking out this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're looking for more college football stuff, we've got it right here on College Football Addiction. Thanks for tuning in.